Hello, I'm Elgato and welcome back to the video. Today we'll be answering the big questions that the community had about Mob E and also about the brand new combat, which wasn't necessarily answered during Minecon Earth. It was revealed that it was going to be answered, but either Jeb forgot or just, had to be pushed or something. But basically, in today's video, we'll be answering what actually happened to those things using what seemed to be a rumor at first, but we actually have proof as to why this is real. And it's kind of sad, but it's also something we should put out there in the world so you guys can know about what exactly is changing with the combat in the next update. Hopefully you do enjoy this video. You can like it if you do like the Minecraft news videos because it helps out the channel a lot. And let's say you do like these sorts of videos, I want to see more of them on the channel. So let's get straight into talking about exactly what is, again, where this news comes from, because it started as a big rumor on Reddit. Bear in mind, there's a lot of reading here, so, yes, we'll go through it fairly quickly, but there's a lot of reading because a guy from the costume contest at Minecon, if you watched it, again, there was a lot of costumes. This guy was the Guardian at Minecon. He claims that he spoke to Jeb and asked him a bunch of questions. He then kept track of the answers to those questions, and he posted them all here. And again, I know that sounds dubious on the surface, but let's just go through the claims first, and then we'll talk about how it's backed up later, because to me at first this sounded like some random rumors, but we have some actually like backing up evidence that makes it more than that, and also it's a fairly popular Reddit thread. But let's go through it, and let's go through the first thing here, which is Q. What was the mystery fifth mob image, aka Mob E? And then Jeb responds, it was just a mock-up image, it literally meant nothing. And this is really sad because that mob is something that got everyone's imagination going, like it's a two-headed golem, it's some form of chicken, people thought. There was all these theories about it, and as it turns out, it was just a mock-up image. They hadn't come up with the 4 mobs that people were going to vote on yet, so they just came up with one randomly, and I guess that's why it was dark and blackened and stuff, but it's still kind of a bummer that didn't mean something. We were also sure that was something else, but it was just a random mock-up image, which is, again, it's something I mentioned it could be, but it just seemed like a less likely outcome, and yeah, I'm kind of sad about that. The second thing is, what is the bubble stream things? What do they do? There'll be underwater ravines with bubbles coming out of them. If you swim over them with a boat, you will sink. You'll be able to breathe in them and transport items through them. So that, again, backed up by the reveal, and also pretty interesting, kind of confirms the thing I said about the ravines. Pretty exciting stuff. Do the bubble flows horizontally? Can you transport items like that? No, it only flows up. So you can't place magma on like the side of something and use that to transport items through the water. They only flow up because that's how bubbles work in real life. I heard about combat changes. What are the changes? Blocking will no longer be with the right click. It'll be activated by shifting and / or walking backwards. PvP won't return to 1.8 PvP. Also, the offhand will no longer be able to be used for placing blocks, mining, or attacking, etc. It is now only for shields, compasses, maps, and items of that nature, but you can still hold any item or block in your offhand. That is the combat changes that Jeb said to this guy, and again, we'll back it up later, but in this guy's theory at the very least, he's saying that the combat is not returning to 1.8 PvP. There's still going to be cooldowns, but the dual wielding aspect, the second part of it, that is going to be fixed, or it's going to be, I guess, nerfed, but basically they're going to remove a lot of its abilities. You won't be able to place torches, you won't be able to place blocks with that hand, you'll only be able to use it to hold things in that hand, and that is a really, really weird thing to do. It's like, oh, these are common sense changes, and by the way, it's none of the things people want, it's just the things people didn't want, but again, we'll talk about that later. For now, let's just go and move on, and then we can prove it, and then we'll come back to that. So, did you see the fix for ghost blocks? Will you fix it? Yes, we're always trying to fix bugs. Basically, yeah, ghost blocks. It's a big issue that PC users have been complaining about for a while now, and that's going to be fixed. How big was Mob C? They are very large, around 3 by 3 blocks. Will there be any loot in the shipwrecks? Yes, there'll be chests with treasure in them. Are there any the coral new blocks? It looks a lot like terracotta. Yes, they are new blocks. The blocks shown was an old texture though. So that's something interesting that you might not know. They're going to be different in the full version to the main one. Will the Mob B fly down to you if you're not really high up in the sky? No, they will only attack you if you're high up above the ground / sea level. You can expect to get attacked on mountains in extreme hill biomes. So basically, they only work in the sky. They won't swoop down and get you if you're below ground. You can avoid Mob B if you want to by doing that sort of thing. So, okay, again, those are the claims. That comes from a guy called Retro28. And again, when I first heard this, I'm like, this is the most unsubstantiated evidence ever. You can't just say, oh yeah, I spoke to Jeb and he said this thing. That's not how that works. Because otherwise, Minecraft news, we'd get a billion pieces of news a day. And again, I didn't want to believe it almost because it's like, no, this is such a bad PvP fix. This is not what people want in the slightest. He confirms Mob E is nothing, and then he confirms that as a thing. So basically, I went digging, and I went to try and find, if he was this, I went to try and find the best proof I could, and basically, pretty much everything I could find pointed to the fact that he was, in fact, at Minecon, and that he did, in fact, meet Jeb. He even has a picture on his Twitter. But let me just quickly, first of all, show you that this is the guy who came second in the costume contest as the Guardian. Again, I like the costume. It's pretty good. If you're watching this Retro28, nice costume. But yeah, basically, he actually, this is the guy who came second. As you can see, he was on the Minecon show. This is a real guy, and this is a selfie posted on the Retro28 Twitter literally 2 days before Minecon. So basically, as you can see, this confirms he is the guy from that picture. The only other alternative is that somehow this guy knew that guy would come second. He'd stole a selfie of that person, posted that selfie on his own Twitter, and he only did all of that under the assumption that someone would dig into this one post he planned on making 2 days after Minecon. Basically, what I'm saying is it's ridiculous. You can make a whole big theory about how that's going to be done, but again, the whole Occam's razor thing is that if it takes too much explanation to explain how that's silly, it probably was true. He definitely did speak to Jeb, and again, then you might say, well, he's just exaggerating. He wants to get famous. Like, he met Jeb and he asked one question, and he's turned it into 20 questions. But then why would he make up all those specific things? And then the thing that really proves it to me is since he posted that, so after he posted all of those wild claims, a lot of them are being confirmed one by one. So for instance, the very first one you'll see here is the Helen Angel. She's the community manager. Really nice person, by the way. But yeah, Helen Angel actually confirms on Twitter in response to people asking about Mob E that it was just a promotional image for the mob vote. It is not a new mob. It was essentially just a placeholder image until we had concept art for the new mob. So she said the same thing in a lot more words and a lot better concept, but she said one of the things that he said in his like big post, and that's kind of interesting that, you know, he would guess that right. But then the thing that really drives it home is this second post from a second unrelated modding person also talking about the new mob, where he says that, I mean, Mob B is pretty cool, but Mob C was going to be a 3x3 block big thing. So basically, this is Jasper. Again, he works on the core Minecraft team. He's making new textures. The fact that two of his claims would be confirmed separately after the fact means that either he's really good at guessing and he's only doing all that guessing just to prove this PvP thing, or the things he said about PvP is at the very least what Jeb is planning right now. And let me just say, okay, so now we've proven that, now we've gone through to it, let's go back to that PvP claim, because that is truly terrible in my opinion. I think this is like the worst of both worlds. So first of all, Mobby being just a, like a promotional image, it's sad, but it makes sense, like they didn't have the mobs, that's fine. But the thing about combat, that is such a bigger of a deal, because they're essentially taking the part people like about the 1.9 combat and they're removing that. Like, there was one reason to be excited about new combat on the other versions, and that was because dual wielding would allow you to do something like, oh yeah, torches in one hand, pickaxe in the other, so you can mine and you can place. Or, you can have ender pearls in one hand, a sword in the other. So, or like, potions in one hand. You could do all these cool, like, different solutions. You could place blocks in one hand while having a sword in the other. There were so many amazing combinations, and he's removing those. And you might question, why would he do that? Why would he take the part of combat people have been asking to remove forever, ignore that, and just go for the part of combat people like? And the only explanation I can find is that the Pocket Edition, which is now the Bedrock Edition, because again, I mean, like, it's all over the place, but basically, that is the second, and that is the biggest version of the game, that cannot have any way to do two inputs. We've been asking about this big question for so long. How could you have, like, two form of inputs on a touch screen? And the best idea was, like, left side and right side, but that wouldn't feel good. And it looks like the answer to the question of, like, okay, how are you going to make that work on a touchscreen is no, they're going to dumb down the Java version so that it works on a touchscreen, and they're going to remove it from the Java itself as well. And again, I wouldn't mind if this was just the PE, like, it makes sense if it was just the PE, but the fact that it sounds like he's doing it for the main version just seems like, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we losing if you're gonna go ahead and do that, just remove all of 1.9 PvP. You remove the part of it that people were like on board with this, and yeah, I feel like maybe it's gonna be done a better way. Maybe it'll be like marketed a better way. Again, he also confirmed shields there, if you didn't spot that, so that's exciting stuff. But I think the fact that we're only gonna get shields basically as the 1.9 PvP stuff, I don't know, it just really seems out of touch of what the community is like asking for, like the exact opposite of what the community is asking for, and I just don't understand the slightest. Maybe the next update, the technical update or whatever update this comes in, maybe that will explain it, because there'll be changes that make that all make sense. Maybe there'll be some, like, golden glossing to this, because again, I feel like you wouldn't even come up with that idea, like, unless you wanted to upset people. So there clearly is going to be something to this that we'll hear later. But for now, we got a little bit of a leak on the brand new combat details. Again, maybe we're meant to be reveal it. Maybe just because it was Minecon and things are meant to be exciting, they're like, maybe don't tell people that. Again, I'm not certain on the exact details of why this didn't come out, and I really hope beyond anything that somehow, despite all this evidence I've provided, this guy just made this all up, or he misheard it, or something like that, because that just sounds a little bit too ridiculous. Like, maybe this is only for PE, I don't know for certain, but it really, it doesn't seem like good days for Minecraft PC combat. This is meant to be the unifying thing. It's like common sense changes, and it's like, this is not, what is your definition of common sense? Because it doesn't seem like it's the same as mine. But anyway, with that said, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Maybe I'm just upset, because I really was looking forward to being able to place torches in one hand and mine with the other. It was going to make my life so much easier, and now it's confirmed that, like, that's not coming, and I know there's just part of me that's upset with that. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, because I'm sure there's someone who's like, yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense, and I'd love to hear from you. Again, it's good to hear the other side of something that you disagree with, and I'd love to hear that. Like if you liked it, share if you liked it, subscribe if you're around here, and make sure you turn on notifications. I have another video coming later, and I want to keep on going for this Minecon news, because so much came out at once, including, by the way, looks like there's a chance minigames are going to be coming to the Bedrock version. So, yeah, with that said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!